Welcome back, explorers, to a place that quietly tops Best Cities to Live in America lists year after year, Plymouth, Minnesota. Today we are pedaling through Eagle Lake Regional Park, one of the leafy green pockets tucked into this western Twin Cities suburb. Around us are oak woods, restored prairie, and glimpses of water. But behind all this calm is a surprising story of lakes, railroads, and explosive growth. Let's ride and find out. So where exactly are we? Plymouth sits just northwest of Minneapolis in Hennepin County, Minnesota, wrapped into the western edge of the sprawling Twin Cities metro. It covers roughly 36 square miles of gentle hills, wetlands, and glacial lakes carved out by Ice Age glaciers thousands of years ago. With around 80,000 residents, it is one of Minnesota's largest cities, yet it still feels green and open. Let's zoom down to ground level. Long before any town appeared here, glaciers did the landscaping. As the last great ice sheets retreated, they left behind a rumpled terrain of rolling moraines, kettle ponds, and dozens of lakes and marshes. That is why Plymouth today counts so many bodies of water within its borders. This watery, wooded ground shaped everything that followed, from ancient travel routes to modern parks. Nature drew the map here first. As we glide deeper into the park, notice how the trees close in overhead like a green tunnel. These oak and maple woods are descendants of the forests and savannas that once blanketed this whole region. The e-bike makes the little rises effortless, so we can just soak it in. Somewhere off through the trunks, you can sense open water waiting. This is the Plymouth that existed for thousands of years before streets and signs. The crown jewel of Plymouth's waters is Medicine Lake, the second largest lake in all of Hennepin County, trailing only mighty Lake Minnetonka. Its name is an English translation of a Dakota word tied to a story of a canoe lost beneath its surface. Today the lake anchors a huge regional park and draws paddlers, anglers, and sailors all summer long. Curiously, a tiny separate town named Medicine Lake sits right on its shore, completely surrounded by Plymouth. Long before settlers arrived, this land was part of the homeland of the Dakota people, who lived, traveled, and gathered across these lakes and woodlands for generations. Waters like Medicine Lake were part of a living landscape of seasonal camps and canoe routes. Their presence is woven into the very place names we still use today. We honor that deep heritage as we explore, remembering that every lakeshore here holds a much older story. The woods suddenly open, and we roll out into a bright, restored prairie. Waist-high grasses and wildflowers ripple in the breeze, alive with bees and birdsong. Restorations like this recreate the tallgrass prairie that once met the oak forests across southern Minnesota. It is a favorite stretch for riders, all sky and sway. Let's keep the pedals turning and rejoin the human story. The first European-American settlers began arriving here in the 1850s, drawn by fertile ground and abundant water near Medicine Lake and Parker's Lake. They built farmsteads, cleared fields, and put down roots in what was still raw frontier territory. In 1858, the same year Minnesota became a state, the area was formally organized as Plymouth Township. These early families laid the quiet agricultural foundation the modern city would eventually grow from. So why Plymouth, so far from any ocean? Like many Midwestern towns, it borrowed a name carried west by New England settlers, echoing historic Plymouth back on the Atlantic coast, and ultimately Plymouth in England. Transplanting familiar names was a way for pioneers to bring a piece of home to unfamiliar prairie. The name stuck, even as the place became thoroughly Minnesotan. Sometimes a town's name is really a little map of where its people came from. Now the trail lifts us onto a boardwalk skimming across a marsh. Cattails crowd both sides, red-winged blackbirds call from the reeds, and the water mirrors the sky. Wetlands like this are everywhere in Plymouth, and they are more than pretty scenery. They filter water, cushion floods, and shelter astonishing amounts of wildlife. Pedaling across it, you feel how deeply this city and its water are intertwined. For its first century, Plymouth was quiet farm country. Fields of grain, dairy herds, and vegetable plots stretched between the lakes, and horse-drawn wagons hauled produce toward Minneapolis markets. Small crossroads settlements gathered around a general store, a school, and a church. Life moved with the seasons, slow and rural. It is almost hard to picture now, but the busy suburb we are riding through was once a patchwork of family farms. One thing that connected those farms to the wider world was the railroad. In the early 1900s, the Luce Line Railroad pushed west out of Minneapolis, carrying grain, goods, and passengers across this countryside. The trains eventually faded, but the story did not end there. The old rail corridor was reborn as the Luce Line State Trail, a long ribbon for bikers, hikers, and horseback riders. It is a perfect example of history recycled into recreation. The path bends, and there it is, Eagle Lake itself, sparkling through a screen of birch trees. Ducks paddle lazily near the reeds, and the water throws back the afternoon light. Moments like this are exactly why locals treasure their parks. You can be minutes from freeways and offices, then suddenly find yourself alone with a quiet lake. Let's roll on and see how this farm town transformed. The big turning point came in 1955, when residents voted to incorporate as the Village of Plymouth, giving the community its own local government. It was a sign of things to come. As highways spread and Minneapolis families sought space in the suburbs, Plymouth reorganized and officially became a city. That simple shift from township to village to city marked the moment Plymouth stepped onto a path of dramatic growth. The quiet countryside was about to change forever. From the 1960s onward, Plymouth exploded. New freeways stitched it tightly to Minneapolis, and neighborhoods, schools, and shopping centers sprouted where cornfields once stood. In just a few decades, the population leapt from a few thousand to many tens of thousands. Yet planners worked hard to keep parks, lakes, and green space woven through the new development. That balance of rapid growth and preserved nature became Plymouth's signature, and a big reason people love it. Back on a smooth paved stretch, we cruise the main park loop past families, walkers, and fellow cyclists. Everything feels tidy, welcoming, and well cared for, and that is no accident. Plymouth has invested heavily in trails and parks like this one. As we roll along, let's talk about why this city keeps winning national praise. The answer is all around us. Plymouth has a habit of landing near the top of national best places to live rankings, and it is easy to see why. Publications praise its excellent schools, low crime, strong economy, and abundant parks and lakes. It regularly ranks among the finest suburbs in the entire country. For residents, that means a rare mix of big city opportunity and small-town green space. Riding through here, you can practically feel the quality of life. Plymouth is not just bedrooms and backyards. It is a genuine economic engine. Sleek business parks and corporate campuses line its major corridors, hosting manufacturers, technology firms, medical device makers, and corporate headquarters. This strong local job base means many residents work just minutes from home. That blend of leafy neighborhoods and serious commerce is a huge part of the city's success. Prosperity here hides politely behind the trees. We dip back into cool forest shade, where ferns crowd the path and a little wooden bridge carries us over a trickling creek. The temperature drops a few pleasant degrees under the canopy. These quiet corners are the reward for exploring on 2 wheels instead of 4. Let's follow the creek and visit some of the marquee places that make Plymouth worth a stop. On the northern shore of Medicine Lake sprawls French Regional Park, one of the crown jewels of the Three Rivers Park District. It offers a sandy swimming beach, canoe and kayak rentals, miles of trails, and in winter, sledding and cross-country skiing. Families flock here in every season, from summer paddles to snowy hills. It is a wonderful example of how Plymouth turned its glacial lakes into shared public treasures. Nature here is truly everyone's backyard. Of course, we have been rolling through another of those treasures all along, Eagle Lake Regional Park. Also part of the Three Rivers Park District, it wraps recreation around a pretty suburban lake, with trails, open prairie, a golf practice area, and plenty of room to breathe. It is exactly the kind of accessible, everyday green space that defines Plymouth. Not every park needs to be famous to be wonderful, and this one proves it. Here comes a long, open straightaway, and the e-bike lets us pick up a breezy, effortless speed. Prairie grass streams past on both sides and tall cottonwoods shimmer in the distance. There is something meditative about a stretch like this, just wheels and wind and sky. Catch your breath and enjoy the glide. Up ahead, let's spotlight where Plymouth gathers to celebrate. At the heart of Plymouth Civic Campus sits the Hilde Performance Center, a graceful outdoor amphitheater set on a green hillside. On summer evenings, crowds spread blankets across the grass for concerts, movies, and community festivals under the open sky. The city's beloved Music in Plymouth event fills this bowl with music and fireworks each summer. It is where the whole community comes together, and it captures Plymouth's friendly, gather outdoors spirit perfectly. For indoor fun, Plymouth is home to the Plymouth Playhouse, a professional theater famous for warm, homegrown comedies. Its long-running hit shows, celebrating Minnesota's small-town church and community life, have delighted audiences for years and drawn visitors from across the region. It is proof that this suburb has a genuine cultural heartbeat, not just office parks and cul-de-sacs. A night of local laughter is one more reason to linger in Plymouth. We reach a signposted junction where several trails branch off into the woods and prairie, with maps and benches inviting a pause. Plymouth is laced with connectors like this, part of an impressively large network. You could ride for hours and never repeat yourself. Let's take a breath at the crossroads and appreciate just how much trail this city has built. Then we will roll toward the people who call it home. Plymouth has knit together an enormous web of parks and trails, well over 100 miles of paths connecting neighborhoods, lakes, and nature preserves. You can hop on a bike almost anywhere in town and pedal to a beach, a woodland, or a prairie. This commitment to greenways is a point of local pride and a magnet for outdoor lovers. In many ways, the trail we are riding is the real Main Street of Plymouth. Plymouth has quietly raised its share of standout talent. The city is home to Wayzata High School, whose name honors a neighboring town but which actually sits right here in Plymouth. That school has produced accomplished athletes who went on to college and professional sports, along with scholars, artists, and entrepreneurs who spread out across the country. For a suburb that prizes a quiet life, Plymouth has sent some remarkable people out into the wider world. Now we skirt a wide wildflower meadow, humming with butterflies and bees, while a hawk wheels lazily overhead. Pollinator meadows like this are carefully nurtured to keep the park's ecosystem thriving. It is a living reminder that a great city protects its smallest residents too. Slow down and let the colors drift by. Let's gather up a few fun surprises about Plymouth before we finish our loop. Here are a few fun quirks. Plymouth completely surrounds the tiny separate city of Medicine Lake, one of Minnesota's smallest towns, like a donut around its hole. The city shares its name with dozens of other Plymouths across America, yet this one is proudly landlocked among lakes. And despite being a major suburb, more than a tenth of its area is water. It is a place full of gentle, surprising contradictions. Plymouth loves a good gathering. Beyond summer concerts at the Hilde, the city hosts farmers' markets, a lively fire and ice winter festival, community fun runs, and neighborhood celebrations throughout the year. These events turn a large suburb into something that feels genuinely close-knit. Whatever the season, there is usually something bringing neighbors together outdoors. That welcoming, community-minded energy is a big part of what makes Plymouth feel like home. The trail curves back toward the lake now, and the light is turning golden and low. Long shadows stretch across the path, and the water lies calm and mirror-still. There is a peaceful, end-of-day feeling as we begin the homeward bend of our loop. It is the perfect moment to reflect on everything we have seen. What a rich story hides inside this easygoing green city. One last thing that makes Plymouth special is how completely it transforms with the seasons. Spring brings wildflowers and returning geese. Summer fills the lakes with sailboats and swimmers. Autumn sets the oak woods ablaze in red and gold. And winter turns the trails into snowy paths for skiers and skaters. 4 distinct seasons, each with its own magic. To live here is to watch the same beloved landscape reinvent itself again and again. And so we coast the final gentle downhill back toward where we began, the lake glinting one last time through the trees. From glacial ice to Dakota Homeland, from quiet farms to one of America's most beloved suburbs, Plymouth has packed a lot of story into these green miles. It has been a joy to share this ride with you. The wheels slow, the evening glows, and our loop is nearly complete. Thank you so much for exploring Plymouth, Minnesota with me today. If you enjoyed this ride through its lakes, trails, and history, do hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss the next adventure. Every like and comment helps this little channel grow and helps us reach the next trail together. Until then, keep your curiosity turning and your wheels rolling. See you on the next ride, explorers.